Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to take a look at defaulting, what a default is, and how to have an effective default that actually works. This is of course important for teams and for pugs, and I'll have information here that's important for both. The important thing to realize though is that defaulting is not working picks. A lot of the times people use those two terms kind of interchangeably, but defaulting is going for map control where getting kills or getting killed is a consequence and it's not actually what you're going for. So a great example of defaulting where you have multiple types of gameplay is Inferno. You want to use a lot of utility, not trying to get killed or getting kills, but to try not to die towards Banana. And towards the apartment side, you can use a lot less utility because it's a lot safer and you're trying to get that map control. It's easier to get. So the goal on Inferno is to not die more often than not. If you look at a map like Cache, a lot of the time you're looking more to get that map control and potentially get kills because it's less CT sided. However, on Inferno, your goal is to get that map control without dying because the counter-terrorists have such an advantage. So it's important to recognize how much of an advantage do my opponents have. And by recognizing that, you can realize how much utility should I be using, how aggressively should I be playing, how comfortable should I be not taking control of an area if they're using a lot of utility and things like that. So I'll try and go over that as much as possible here. Now, in terms of running a real default on this map and on maps in general, a lot of the time you want to be running a 2-2-1 or a 2-1-2. It doesn't really matter either way. You have two players on two different portions of the map playing together in a duo, and you have your fifth player a lot of the time ends up being the opper holding angles and playing control, potentially supporting either side. Some maps it can be an opper playing there, other times it can be a lurk player where an opper is holding and going towards a different angle. A great example of an op player going towards the middle of the map and playing with teammates is Mirage. A lot of the time you might want three people towards middle and the opper is usually going to be there and one player on each of the outskirts. So that's kind of a different type of setup that can also work. Three towards the middle and one player lurking on either side playing for control. On Inferno, you're going to have two players towards Banana, two players towards Apartments, and the opper on T stairs. That's a standard way to play it. I'm sure there are teams that play differently, but I would highly recommend this as a general idea. And if you're playing in a pug, in general, you're going to find this 2-2-1 with the opper T stairs is the most common way to play it. The first thing you're going to want to do on an Inferno default is Molotov off car. A great way to do it is to actually aim along near this flower pot here, actually. It's going to catch behind car as well as in front of car, and you're mitigating the ability for people to go for aggressive peeks here. So again, on Inferno, because it's such a CT-sided map, you want to use some utility to prevent yourself from dying, especially towards Banana. You can use a lot of utility here because it's so dangerous and because this is so important. You need to be recognizing how important is the map control I'm going for. Apartments doesn't give you control of middle, which is necessary to take towards A lot of the time. So Apartments isn't really worth using too much utility a lot of the time. However, if you take Banana control, you take away a lot of information, you have a direct line into the bomb site, and you're forcing them away from an angle where they can get a lot of kills. So you can use a lot of utility to try and take towards Banana. Now, the first thing I do, again, throw the Molotov, and you have two players here. The first thing to realize is when you're actually running a default as a team, how do we want to react to aggressions? You can either push through and try and fight them if they're using a lot of utility, or give up Banana if they're trying to force down and retake it later. This is true on every map. If they're trying to take A main control on Cache, if they're trying to aggressively take mid control on Mirage, how much utility should you be using? Should you be playing back and giving it up, or should you be forcing the control? On Inferno, I think a good split is to like 70 or 80% of the time give it up, and 20 to 30% of the time try and force it, in my opinion. A lot of people are going to want to play more aggressively, and even in pugs, this is something you need to kind of be talking to your teammates about. If they're going aggressive, let's fall back, or let's go aggressive. The important thing to realize is you don't want to become too static. If every time they go aggressive, you give it up, then you're allowing yourself to become a little bit too predictable, and they can use very little utility to get that control if you're just giving it up. So realize that you want to be playing a little bit of both, and on Inferno I would lean towards giving it up a little bit more. However, let's say they don't go aggressive and you get banana control. Now you've got 2 players towards banana and you want to get top banana control. The way I like to do this, again, recognize here that you're balancing your utility. You usually, for an execute, in my opinion, as a real team, for a real execute, you want to assume 4 players alive, and you want to assume that you have, or you want to try and hold on to at least 2, probably 3 Molotovs and 2 smokes. So when you're thinking of a real execute off of a default as a real team, try and think of that, holding on to 2 to 3 Molotovs and 2 smokes and 3 to 4 flashes. So for this, I'm using most of the utility towards banana. You get a guy here, and you can throw a Molotov just like that. That'll block off the pathway to try and play corner. With that, I like to throw a double nade towards sandbags. I think this is the most effective way to clear out top banana. You can easily kill a guy's sandbags. With that, you can spam through the corner here, and you can also throw a flash. A good way to throw a flash here is you get to this angle here, and you aim about here. I believe that's it. That'll come across the corner, get anybody blind if you want to, and you can go with that. That's just kind of a nade you can throw, or a flash you can throw. With that, with the Molotov and double nade, you've now taken top banana control. You've got good control to try and execute off of a lot of the time, and you've used a lot of utility. But what you want to be doing is, once you get this control, a lot of the time, just hold on to it. Don't force too hard. A lot of the time in pugs, you're going to want to force pretty hard towards angles. Just question, I have now taken control of an important area of the map. How important is this next pick? You know, how good is this angle? We have top banana control. How good is this peak for me? Am I going to win it the majority of the time? Am I not? Is it worth the peak? Okay, a lot of the time with an op, if you're comfortable, this is a good peak. With a rifle, probably not. On the other side of the map, because you've used a lot of utility towards banana, you're probably going to want to use a lot less utility. So what I like to do is I like to have a player nade through the window here. Rather than Molotov it, I like to hold on to a Molotov because, again, the 2 to 3 Molotov, 2 to 3 smoke rule, you're using a lot of Molotovs on the other side. You hold on to some nades on this side. So you nade through the window there, and you play. One player is going to make his way up into balcony room here, and the other player is going to make his way over here. With this one, you can actually spam through the wall a little bit. You can pre-fire this. This is an angle you can find kills, and your teammate towards Boiler here can spam through the wall as well, trying to get a kill. So what I would do for this side of the map, nade through, again, mitigate the potential aggressions. So they might flash push into ult, so you can play a little bit back here. You can hold this angle where you can unpeak. Just be aware of the aggressions they can go for and trying to not die to them, especially, again, on Inferno, where there's a lot of aggressions your opponents can go for early round, and you need to be worried about it. Now, once you stop the aggressions, again, you can go for this type of apps control. One thing to realize is this angle here is important to be peeking towards. Get control. Make sure you can take this guy down that's peeking into Boiler. Try and find that. And you've got relatively easy apps control. It's not easy. It's not a given. However, you can get that fairly easily without using too many nades. You can get control of this hallway as well by double peeking from either side and taking the straight up gunfight. There you go. That is the default part of the default. What I like to do on this map is go back and take mid control. And this is very important in pugs as well. People take banana control and they take apps control, and then they go, what do we do from here? On Inferno, I like to go back and take mid control. To do that, you can throw a quick flash towards top middle. And you can pop out Boiler with the Opper here as well. So I like to throw that flash, Opper here, flash comes out, peek towards this angle, take the free kill, and you have mid control. And this is kind of the end of where the default is. So what your goal here is, take a banana control, don't die. Take apartments control, don't die. Take mid control, don't die. On other maps, for example, Mirage, a lot of the time you want to take mid control and potentially find a pick, because it's a lot less dangerous, there's a lot less ways you can die, and you have a lot more advantageous angles to take, and you're getting less map control. Top mid on Inferno here, you're so close to the site, couple Molotovs, quick execute, you get right into the site quick, rotates don't come in very quickly. and retaking either bomb site isn't super easy. Same goes for Banana here. A couple of Molotovs, a Molotovs towards New Box there, a Molotov towards Oranges, and Smoke CT and Spools. You're into the bomb site immediately. You're right there. So rather than focusing on getting kills, a lot of the time you're focusing on getting map control. And that's what can make Inferno so hard to deal with in Pugs rather, because a lot of the time you're looking at not dying and not necessarily trying to get kills. So once you get this type of control, people get a little bit uncomfortable. However, you should realize that the vast majority of the time when you're going for a default, you're running into a resistance, you're getting kills, you're dying, you're trading, you're getting a lot of things done. So by the time you get into the point where, all right, we've finished our default, things have kind of happened. You haven't just ended up in a 5-on-5 full utility versus full utility with map control. You end up a lot of the time 3 or 4 players alive, you've used a lot of utility, you've gotten some trade kills, and things have happened. But realize your goal isn't to get kills here the majority of the time. You get kills by nature of forcing into areas that people want to control. The goal is not to force kills on people that you don't need to force kills on. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.